In a classroom where silence was expected, her voice was ignored. She raised her hand. She followed every rule, but her skin made her a target. What the teacher did that day left the whole class in stunned silence, until one student did something no one expected. This is the story of Amira Thompson, and the moment her worth was questioned in front of everyone. Amira was 14 years old, smart, kind, in love with poetry and history. Her mother, a nurse, had moved them to the suburbs for a better life. New school, new teachers, new future. What they didn't know was that the halls of Rose Hill Middle School were lined with invisible lines. Lines that told kids like Amira, "You don't belong here." Mr. Dalton taught English. Older, respected, the kind of teacher who quoted Shakespeare and expected silence. He never said anything obviously racist, but Amira noticed the small things. When Ben from the football team spoke out of turn, he got a smile. When she asked a question, he rolled his eyes. When Emily forgot her homework, she got a pass. When Amira forgot once, she was called irresponsible. Still, Amira kept trying. She stayed late, turned in extra work. She just wanted to be seen. One Monday, Mr. Dalton assigned an essay. Write about a person who inspires you. Amira knew her answer right away. She wrote about her grandmother, a civil rights activist who marched in Selma and taught her to love herself. Even when the world didn't, she poured her heart into every word. Stayed up till 2 a.m. revising. When the day came to read aloud, she raised her hand with pride. Mr. Dalton called on her reluctantly, and as she read, the class listened, until he interrupted. Midway through her essay, Mr. Dalton chuckled. "That's enough, Amira," he said. She froze. "Let's try to keep it academic, not emotional." The room went quiet. A few kids looked away. Others smirked. Amira sat down, her hands trembling. Mr. Dalton continued as if nothing happened. "Class, let's hear from someone who actually understood the assignment." Her chest tightened. Her throat burned, and still no one said a word. Amira didn't cry. Not until she got home. She threw her backpack across the room. "I hate it here," she screamed. Her mother held her, whispering, "You are not the problem, but you are the threat to small minds." The next day, Amira walked into school quieter, dimmer. She stopped raising her hand, stopped volunteering, and Mr. Dalton seemed satisfied, until one voice cracked the silence. Noah Ramirez was a quiet kid, straight-A student, sat in the back, rarely spoke unless called on. But that Friday he stood up, literally, when Mr. Dalton handed back the essays. He gave Amira a C- in red ink, with the words, "Overly personal, not relevant." Noah looked at the paper, then at Mr. Dalton, and he said, "You're wrong." The room froze. Noah continued, "Her story was relevant. You just didn't want to hear it." Mr. Dalton snapped, "Excuse me, Noah." But Noah didn't sit down. "You let other kids write about sports stars and celebrities. Why can't she write about her grandmother?" The tension was thick. You never cut off Ben when he talks about football. You didn't stop Emily when she cried during hers. Amira looked up, stunned. No one had ever defended her like that. Mr. Dalton gave Noah detention, said he was disrespectful, but word spread fast. By Monday, a student petition had over 200 signatures demanding an apology. Amira's classmates, black, white, Latino, Asian, stood with her. They wore shirts with the words, "We are relevant." The story made it to the school board, and then to the local news. The school launched an investigation. Parents began asking questions. Former students of Mr. Dalton shared similar stories, some anonymous, others public. Eventually, he was placed on administrative leave. But more importantly, Amira's voice was finally heard. A month later, the school invited Amira to speak at the district's equity conference. She stood at the podium in a floral dress, holding her grandmother's photo in her hand. She said, "I was told my story didn't belong in the classroom, but stories like mine built the classroom." The audience gave a standing ovation. Noah watched in the front row, clapping with pride. The following semester, a new teacher took over Mr. Dalton's class. Ms. Carter, black, young, passionate. On the first day, she wrote on the board, "Every voice matters here, including yours." Amira smiled. She raised her hand, not in fear, but in power. Amira would go on to win a regional writing contest for her revised essay. She later started a blog called Relevant Voices, featuring stories from students across the country who felt overlooked or silenced. Noah became editor of the school newspaper. His first editorial? Silence isn't neutral. And Mr. Dalton retired early. Some say he never understood what he did wrong, but that didn't matter anymore. Amira wasn't waiting for his validation. This story isn't just about one teacher. It's about how bias hides in plain sight, in the way we grade, in who we praise, and in what we choose to listen to. And it's about how one voice, even if soft, can become a microphone for many. Never underestimate the power of one student who refuses to sit down.